Now, you can't avoid difficult conversations, but you can lead them in ways that manage conflict and achieve positive, productive outcomes. This is a trap that's all too easy to fall into as a leader. We tell the other person what's wrong rather than seeking to understand. Articulate that you're here to understand, not attack. And be clear that you expect the same in return. Even the best conversations will be unproductive if they're left at a loose end. G'day everyone, and welcome to another episode of Lead on Purpose. My name's James Middleton, and for the last 20 years, I've been leading teams of all shapes and sizes, from the Australian Air Force through the private sector. And now I help organisations develop ethical and purposeful leadership at every level. I also help you to become the leader that you want to be. I explore real-world leadership challenges, bring you inspiring stories from experienced leaders, and bring you practical, evidence-based solutions to help you lead with confidence, clarity, and purpose. Today, we're tackling one of the most challenging parts of leadership: difficult conversations. Whether you're trying to resolve performance issues, managing conflict, or communicating challenging information to your team, these conversations are often delayed, they're mishandled, or they're avoided altogether. But why? Because they involve the most difficult part of leadership: the humans behind the numbers. That's real people with real emotions. And when these conversations are mishandled, people can become reactive, defensive, or even aggressive. But it doesn't have to be that way. Now, you can't avoid difficult conversations, but you can lead them in ways that manage conflict and achieve positive, productive outcomes. Most leadership conversations go wrong because our emotions take over. And this can be for a variety of reasons, but more often than not, it's because leaders are unprepared, they're emotional themselves, and they try to control the conversation through one-way communication, often without a clear goal or clear objective. And this is a trap that's all too easy to fall into as a leader. We tell the other person what's wrong rather than seeking to understand. We explain what's not working rather than working towards a solution together. And this often results in feelings of frustration, disappointment, and disrespect on both sides. From there, people react, which only makes things worse. For a conversation to be productive, not difficult or confrontational, we need to move together towards a clearly defined goal. And if we have any hope of doing that, we first need people to be accountable and take responsibility for their own situation. So with that in mind, here are 5 tips to help you start having more productive conversations and less difficult ones. Tip number 1, plan ahead. If you want to have a productive conversation, you need to know what you want or need to achieve and have a rough idea of how you're going to get there. Before you call someone into your office, take some time to determine what you need to achieve through this conversation. What's the desired outcome? If this is a performance management conversation, you probably need the other person to reflect on their own performance and acknowledge that it's not up to par. You also need to determine what information you need to discuss and what decisions you need to make. This will help you stay on track. You also need to determine what the other party or parties need to know before the meeting. Having someone come into your office and feel blindsided is a really simple way to prevent any chance of a productive conversation. But planning ahead isn't about scripting every word. It's about ensuring that you have clarity about what you want or need to achieve. So get clear on your desired outcome and how you plan to get there. Because when emotions rise and things get a bit heated, it's easy to lose sight of the goal and start fueling the fire of conflict. Tip number 2, set and maintain expectations. When you lead conversations, you have a responsibility to foster an environment where people feel safe and respected. But you also have the right to feel safe and respected. You also have the right to terminate the conversation if it becomes too aggressive or too confrontational. So set expectations early. This is a safe space for respectful discussion. Articulate that you're here to understand, not attack. And be clear that you expect the same in return. Before proceeding with the conversation, get commitment to those expectations from everyone present. If things escalate, just pause, take a breath. Reaffirm the expectations and regain that commitment. If necessary, end the conversation, but do it respectfully. Because by doing that, you're not walking away. You're protecting yourself and you're maintaining your commitment to your leadership responsibilities. You can always come back when emotions have settled and people are willing to have an honest and respectful conversation. Tip number 3, lead with questions. Telling empowers you to talk. Asking questions empowers people to think and reflect. One of the greatest gifts you can give as a leader is the power of self-reflection. If we want people to take responsibility for their own situation or actions, they need to be accountable to themselves first. So use open questions like, what do you understand about your responsibilities under the Employee Code of Conduct? Where did you get the approval to delay starting the project? Or, what have you tried so far to improve your working relationship with your colleagues? Questions like this will encourage reflection and give you an opportunity to gather as much information as possible to help move forwards towards a productive outcome. Avoid questions like these. Do you understand why you're here today? Or do you think it was a good idea to delay starting the project? Questions like these are closed, they're leading, or they're rhetorical, and they don't invite reflection. So ask questions that challenge people to think, not questions that criticize actions. Ask with curiosity and ask with intent to understand, not with the intent to catch someone out. Tip number 4, approach with intelligent naivety. Now, this one can be a game changer. Intelligent naivety means committing to understanding the situation, not just stating your own information. Intelligent naivety requires you to put your own assumptions and your ego aside. Even if you know the facts, even if you've seen the report, and even if you've heard the same story from multiple sources. You might know the truth, but you need them to say it, and you need them to own it. Because people are far more likely to commit to their truth than agreeing to yours. So work with the information in the room, not your assumptions. Lead with questions like I discussed in tip 3. But there is a pitfall to intelligent naivety. Don't let someone else's truth become your truth. If your questions reveal new information that challenges what you already know, stay cool. Don't let it hijack the conversation. If new information really rattles you or makes you realize that the problem is way bigger than you originally thought, stay curious. Keep asking questions. Keep seeking more information. But don't be afraid to pause the conversation and take some time to reassess and refocus, especially if things are getting too heated or you get stuck in a loop of the same questions and answers. And finally, tip number 5, end with clear commitment to what's next. Every productive conversation needs a clear ending. Not just a thanks for chatting, but a commitment to action, to the next steps. If things have gone well and there has been reflection and accountability, great. What's next? You need agreement, or at least acknowledgement of what happens next. Now, that could be a follow-up meeting, or it could be further administrative action in the case of performance management issues. Or maybe it's just back to business as usual and I'll check in with you next week. Even the best conversations will be unproductive if they're left at a loose end. You need to be clear on the next steps because that clarity encourages accountability, and accountability drives change. So, that's a lot of information. Let's recap these 5 tips to turn difficult conversations into productive ones. Tip number 1, plan ahead. Know your objective and your path to get there. Stay focused when the emotions rise. Tip number 2, set and maintain expectations. Create a safe space for everyone in the room, and that includes you. Protect the conversation from escalation. Tip number 3, lead with questions. Ask, don't tell. Invite reflection and encourage ownership. Tip number 4, approach with intelligent naivety. Work with the information in the room. Let them say it, let them own it, and stay curious. And finally, tip number 5, end with clear commitment. Define the next steps to create clarity and encourage accountability. Difficult conversations are a part of leadership. You can't avoid them, but you can lead them in ways that are productive, not confrontational. So choose to be clear, calm, and curious. Choose to lead with questions that challenge people to think and challenge them to take responsibility. When you do that, you'll find yourself having far more productive conversations than difficult ones. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Lead on Purpose. If today gave you something to think about or reflect on, let me know down in the comments. Please like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend or a colleague who's ready to be a better leader. And remember, leadership isn't a title, it's a choice. So make that choice and continue to lead on purpose. My name's James, and I'll see you next time.